to the third Talk to Coach in association with ICF, India Coaching Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, namaste. This is your host, Khushboo Sharma, welcomes you on our forum this evening. We truly appreciate your presence and time as always. As I always say, we all come together with the sheer purpose of getting an inch more closer to coaching and its business. And today, yet again, we are together on this forum, exclusively there for you, sharing our wisdom with you, listening to yours, answering your questions, and making the difference. I would like to just add here that you may drop in your comments and your questions here on any platform right away during the live, and we will be able to take up these questions in the following episode of ours, which is going to come next. Now, for today, ladies and gentlemen, this episode is all going to be about the vision of a coach, about mid level management. The world's response to COVID 19 has actually resulted in the most rapid transformation of the workplace. Working from home had actually become the new normal for all of us, and we all lived with it. And we've gone from digitizing the relationship between firm and customers to digitizing the relationship between employer and employee. And for this today, when we talk about the layoffs and we talk about the effect and the challenges and the impact that it had on the middle level management, I have our own Dr. D on this forum today to talk about this. The man who brings along the faith, the man who wears many, many hats and is wanting to handhold coaches with his expertise and research of over a decade. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the man himself, none other than Dr. Gautam, the chairman of NMCBI, ICF India Coaching Federation, Great Human University. He is an author, a CFO turned leadership coach, a life doctor, ex Pepsi, Unilever, Motorola, Supermax, and list goes on and on. I welcome you once again, Dr. D, on Talk to Coach, episode 3. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Khushboo. Thank you. Thanks a lot for inviting me here again. Yeah.
So, Dr. D, today is the day when I have a couple of thoughts on the mid level management and the impact that COVID brought on them. So, Dr. D, companies were at a crossroads. Those that capitalized on post COVID opportunities, they found themselves in a good position to retain their talent and attract people when the situation stabilized. By contrast, those that failed to change are actually left behind, exposing their employees to increased risk of financial distress. And we all have seen that they're facing layoffs and closures. What's your take on people who got laid off and are actually in search of a promising career into a middle management, and the ones who were actually doing very well but they had to face the crisis? What's your take on the people who got laid off, Dr.
It's a really great question, Khushboo. And as all of us we know, especially in this COVID period of 2 years, lot of people, especially in the middle management area, they have lost their job. Uh, One, of course, because of the COVID, but there is another reason. The more automation, more digitalization, more transformation happening in the companies, one thing is very clear that the requirement of the man force in the organization is going to reduce more. So two aspects are parallelly working. But yes, the biggest number of people in the middle level has been impacted because of the COVID. And for the organization who were implying this middle management people or the anybody who has lost the job, they have a reason to say that yes, because of the COVID, we are able to not sustain our business to the level what we have been doing, and for that purpose, we have to reduce the number of manpower. And now, finding the job, getting into the corporate is becoming challenging for the people, especially in the managerial role. And it is not going to improve like by improvement of COVID. Like now the things has been improving, but in the same ratio as it used to be before COVID, it is going to be no, it is not going to be like that. The reason is like that. Ki Again, as I said it to you, one is the COVID. Second, the more automation, the more digitalization is happening to the organization. The process are becoming more automated. The business is becoming more automated. People are able to manage the work from home. People are able to manage the work which was earlier managed by two people, three people. Now it is done by one people. So that kind of opportunities are not going to come back, and this is a real tough situation for the people, especially executives who are looking to get into the corporate. They have to work on two three areas, like one of the very favorite thing which I always keep on saying, like ki in a country like India, where every year around 1 crore students are getting graduated, giving job to all the people is very difficult. So somebody who into middle career or any managerial level or any level, they are able to lose their job, coming back to industry is a difficult challenge. I'm not saying it is not possible, it is possible, but I think this can be an opportunity for the people to explore the possibility to get into the entrepreneurship or become the self entrepreneur. And even everybody knows this, government also knows this, and government of India and all state governments, they have many plans, they have many schemes, they have many startup missions. Each and every state is working, central government is working to help those people who can start up their own. But again, what happens ki when you think of doing on your own business, becoming an entrepreneurship, it's a tough decision. The decision should not be like, चलो ठीक है अभी कुछ करते हैं, बाद में जॉब मिल गया तो फिर छोड़ करके जॉब में आ जाएंगे. तो neither you will be successful in your business nor you will be successful in your job also. So assessment, self assessment is very much required. And at this stage, like anybody who wants to exist in corporate, who wants to build up a career in the leadership position in corporate, they should require altogether very different kind of skills. Just a specialization in your functional and technical area is not going to bring you in the same position what you have been holding. It requires much more than that. And one of the skill which is very widely required for all the senior executives, business executives, CXOs and all that is the financial skill. Because managing the finance becomes very important part, irrespective whether you are handling finance or non-finance functions, whether you are a marketing guy or a sales guy or a business development guy or a HR guy or a IT guy, doesn't matter. Manufacturing or supply chain person, talking in numbers is very, very, very important. And that makes sense to the board of director, to the owner, to the entrepreneur. So that kind of is capability building is there. So to answer your question, I will say that uh, two, three things are very important. One, if a person who is still looking for the job, he has to prepare or she has to prepare herself, himself for a different level of challenges. And in this respect, I can say our coaches of India Coaching Federation are able to provide lot of good service, lot of good kind of coaching, mentoring, and training to the peoples. And we have a specialized leadership training programs and a specialized coaching programs for the senior executives, CXO level, and managerial level executives. And many of the case studies are there where we are able to do that. That is one part. Unless they are able to upgrade themselves with the latest skills, especially in the IT, in the finance, in the business, growing and surviving to the next level. See, I always say another thing that in a company there are two types of employees. Either you are a part of cost center or you are part of the profit center. If you are part of the cost center, your job is always at risk. So wherever position, whichever position, whatever department you are there, if you are part of the cost center, you know, you are at risk. Anytime that can be replaced by a lower salary people who are equally capable, who are young, who are more smarter, so it can be replaced. Or the situation like COVID or any recession or any impact in the business will impact your job and career, and you will lose your job. So we need to prepare ourselves. All the people in the senior level, they need to prepare themselves for the profit center role. So whatever area, whatever function you are working, you have to be part of the profit center. You have to generate revenue for the company and organization. And for that aspects, you have to know the numbers. You have to know the ROIs. You have to know what is the investment company is doing on the manpower, resources, and all other things in your department, and how you can make greater revenue, better return on investment from your job profile, from your department, from your cost center, whatever you call. So the cost center has to be transformed into profit center. And then if you have that kind of capability, then the surviving is easier, or growing is also easier. The second part, which I said it's slightly going longer, but I will complete it.
No, no, please. It's lovely to hear this, and I think it's definitely insightful. So I would like you to continue, please.
Yeah, so the second part I said it that the people who have been professional, who has been working in a middle or senior position in corporate, and by any reason they are not able to get into the corporate, or even they are into corporate, they have some opportunity to explore the possibility of becoming an entrepreneur. Because next 10-15 years, India has to have many success story going in, and that has to happen if the 20% of the youth has to go for the business entrepreneurship and they have to start their own business. It is not required that everybody should become a multimillionaire businessman. See, SME is the biggest contributor in anywhere success of any company or any country, you can say. Like, the Western countries, Europe, America, the GDP contribution, you see the SMEs are more than 60%, 70%. In India also, around 40% of the contribution comes from the SME sector, but still 25 more percent has to go like to be an average of a developed country, and which is a very huge number. So everybody who is looking for become an entrepreneur or a businessman, it is not required that he should become a billionaire or multimillionaire kind of business organization. Even a couple of million kind of a revenue or turnover will able to make you a very good opportunity to be an entrepreneur, employ 50, 20, 100, 30 peoples in your organization, and able to make more money as an entrepreneur what you are making as an employee working within an organization. And here again, I say that he don't jump into the entrepreneurship just because he lost the job and you are started looking into becoming an entrepreneur. Because everybody, we know that the failure ratio of these startups are more than 70 to 80%. So 70 to 80% of these startups, they fail within 2 to 3 years of their starting. What happens ki most of the people in this situation, they have some challenges in their company, or they lost the job, or they see some opportunity, they thought of becoming an entrepreneur and do something on themselves. But it is not a very thought process decision. It is not a very calculated decision. It is not a very planned decision they have taken. And when I say planned decision, it should not be only they are committed for becoming the entrepreneurship. They have to be trained. They have to be trained. They have to be coached. They have to be mentored to become an entrepreneur. Yes, as a business executive, you have a specialization in one area, two area, three area of your function. But when you become an entrepreneur, you have an opportunity to deal with various challenges. And that's why a proper training, proper mentoring, proper coaching is always important. And when you are prepared to take the role, then you become an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. D, for this was really very, very insightful for me as well, and I'm sure for the audience as well. I believe the key to survive in this industry and the market is reskilling and upskilling self. And I think coaching is definitely something which can handhold people, because the moment the idea of entrepreneurship comes in, it definitely gets people a little jittery. They may get a lot of questions in their minds. But I'm sure that after listening to this conversation, it definitely gives a little clarity of how can the career be revived after the impact that COVID-19 has given to the mid-level management. Dr. D, while I was listening to you, I just had this thing clicked in my mind, and allow me to share this with you. And here is where even I would like you to talk a little. The idea of when we talk about middle managers or mid-level management, or they changing their career, or maybe for that matter that the impact that they had, now they're in a search for a better career at present. The idea of middle managers, whether in business or in organization, as unexceptional mediocre supervisors, has been around for many, many decades. These ideas I feel are still central to what's taught in many of the MBA and executive development programs that people offer at different institutes and different universities, where there is a tendency to educate managers on how to upgrade and become leaders. Do you think these programs also needs to probably look at their structure a little more?
Yeah, I think very relevant question again, Khushboo. With due respect to the organization or institutions, they are running this program to train and transform business executives to the leadership role and preparing themselves for the senior leadership role position or even for the entrepreneurship. The program exists and it is already there in the market also, but it is not able to create the better impact. The reason is like that the approach of this program is again the approach what we adopt while doing our normal curriculum when we were doing graduation, post graduation, and all those things. It is just another certification, it's just another course where you are able to learn, listen, understand the things. What it requires, everybody knows that a startup failure ratio is around 70 to 80%. If this program should have been highly effective, then why a startup failure ratio should be 70 to 80%? It should have been reduced to 50%. It has been reduced to 40%. It very clearly means that these programs are not effective somewhere. The issue is like that this curriculum based programs to develop the business leader or entrepreneur are again a theoretical programs. Most of the parts are theory, case studies, and projects. It has to be more practical. The more practical approach is required, and by just giving a executive MBA program or a management development program, you are just giving another skills and competency to the people without understanding or assessing whether this person himself or herself is capable of becoming an entrepreneur or not. Here, an individual who becomes an entrepreneur, he or she might be a capable, qualified person. So, it has to have an assessment of the personality of the individual, because, see, entrepreneurship is altogether a very different kind of role, where unless you are really committed, unless you have passion, unless you have commitment, you have patience, you have confidence, success becomes very difficult part. So what happens ki just reading and getting another certificate in management program to become an entrepreneur or to become a leader, it will be able to add you the skills and competency which you already have. No practical impact is there. So when you become an entrepreneur, it is an individual approach, and in this individual approach, it becomes same way challenging, because when you leave the job, One is that as a person, your own cash flow has to be taken care of, your family and relationship has to be taken care of. At the same time, your business which you have started, that has to be taken care of, plus generating the revenue, generating the business. So you have to manage the expectation at different levels. So managing the expectation at different level becomes really challenging, and that requires the personality transformation of the individual. The person who has been trained and fine tuned to do the job for say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, where he have to perform of the KRA. There is a key accounting and responsibilities are assigned to that, and if you are able to perform, you get paid. So your responsibility is limited to the KRA of the organization, and at the end of the month, you are getting paid for that. And once you start working, you are becoming expert in that, and you are getting paid. So no additional effort is required. But when you becoming a business leader or an entrepreneur, many more responsibilities are there. First, it is very challenging. So you have to have the confidence level, you have the commitment, you have the passion to hold those challenges. As an entrepreneur, you have to transform your own thing, you have to transform your employee, you have to empower your employee, you have to empower your partners, business partners, you have to empower and transform your investors, you have to have a relationship with your suppliers, your customer. So many kind of expectation has to be managed. So it is not just a certificate, it has to be a leadership program somewhere, which has to be designed, which can transform the overall personality of an individual and prepare them to become a business leader. At our India Coaching Federation, we have designed two such programs where we are able to totally transform the individual from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurship mindset, from an employee mindset to a business leader mindset. So we have an advanced leadership development program which helps employees, executives to transform them to become a business leader. At the same time, there is a program from which transform a person from employee to an entrepreneur level. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, a specific kind of coaching and training is provided where you are able to sustain. So this kind of more and more practical training based approach has to be provided. Then only the success is going to come, and more people are going to be successful in the entrepreneurship journey or in the journey on the role of business leader.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. D. I think you have really spoken in length about it and you've given a lot of clarity. I think there is a lot of food of thought for many of us here, and I completely agree, even as a person on the other side of the table, that practical knowledge is something that should be our priority going forward. So I think thank you so much for answering that. There's a request. I have another question for you, Dr. D. Would really like you to answer that and throw some light on it. Now that you've spoken about the entrepreneurship and how coaching and how the level management is looked upon and how can it be looked upon in the future, I have a question related to the organizations here now for you with regards to the middle level management. And I'm sure you'll be able to give us a lot of clarity on that as well. For a lot of audience of mine who are from the organization, and they are either a part of the employer or maybe they are the employee. For me, Dr. D, I have over the past few years developed great respect for middle managers. They are, I believe, in my opinion, they are the engines of any business. They are the cogs that makes things work. That glue, I believe, that keeps companies and organizations together. Especially as remote and hybrid works takes over, Dr. D, and the distance between employee is basically it increases, and middle managers are more important than ever. From an organization point of view, do you think organization needs to start looking at them differently?
Can you come again? What is the last part of the question?
Certainly. I'm just saying that, as remote and hybrid works takes over and the distance between employee increases and the middle managers are more important than ever, do you think the organization needs to start looking at them differently, looking at the middle management differently, and change their approach towards them differently?
Yes, that is very important. It is not only the middle management, but all the managements positions. Organization always have to have a evolution based approach. The bigger organization, the leadership and growth profiling always has to be a continuous process. And organizations should never forget that the people who are in management, middle management now, they are going to take over the senior management one day. So unless they are going to have some proper training, proper coaching, proper mentoring, uh, developing those middle management to a senior level position will be difficult. So a special care has to be required. And see the bigger organization. I have been working in my organization. When you say about the Pepsi, Unilever, and all those, we have always seen that there is a continuous learning programs are there to transform and train the management at all level to make them ready for the next level of role. As you were saying that yes, in this hybrid situations, the role of the middle management, I can say that it has increased more. One, their subordinates are also working and operating from a hybrid model. Might be if somebody has a team of 10 people, on and off, half of them are working from home, and some of them are from other remote location, or might be somebody in office also. So, managing the performance of the team at three different locations and places, which earlier used to be at one location, one place in office, becomes very difficult and challenging. At the same time, when all the management and all the team sits in the office in front of you, managing the performance becomes one-way direction. Now you have three-way, four-way to manage the people. Somebody is managing remotely, somebody is sitting at their home and working from home, and couple of people are sitting in office. So you have to have different technology also to manage their performances, and the work has to be done. That is also is very important and it is required. So that role of a middle management is very important because it becomes challenging. They have to have the further reporting based on their team and their team's performance at a three or four different places and different situations and circumstances, which becomes very challenging. And that's why the role for the organization is there to provide proper coaching and training to those middle management people and the management people who are able to manage those staffs at a different situations and circumstances. This work from home and hybrid model is going to continue for a longer time. It is not going to be rollback like what used to happen before 2019. Many
Hmm.
industries, many positions, many profiles, it is highly effective. Some of the profile it is not so effective as it used to be. But people are exploring, people are doing the experimentations, and people are coming up with different kind of models. But here the role of the coaches, all of us, the India Coaching Federation and our coaches becomes very important and vital, because we have many this kind of programs which we provide to the various corporates where we are able to train them. Because what happens situations are very different when you are
Correct.
as an employee, you are in your company, so
Hmm.
from 10 to 6 you are off from all your personal thing and you are focusing on the work. When you are in a hybrid model, you are working from home sometime. So
Correct.
whether you want or not, the challenges relating to your personal life, your relationship, your social work, society is going to pop up. You cannot avoid. You are sitting at home, so something will happen, you are going to get impacted easily. At
Correct.
the same time, how to handle those kind of things, how to handle those kind of challenges is still providing the same kind of productivity is very important, and that you require a different kind of training, different kind of coaching is required for the individual. and they has to be uh, trained in a way that they should be able to manage not only their work but the productivity of the organization, and they should be further able to grow, like and
Correct.
that is very important. It is required.
That's so true. That's so true, Dr. D. I believe it's time to reunite leadership and management with coaching in one concept and recognize middle managers as connecting leaders. It's time to really reinvent this. This type of role is challenging, however, because it requires being both a proactive leader to direct reports and an engaged follower to the top management all at the same time. So I believe it's time that we bring it together. Thank you, Dr. D, once again for your words of wisdom today. As always, you've been very, very insightful. I'm sure we've got a lot of food of thought and, of course, a lot of clarity. Many thanks to all those who joined us in today's episode. It's time to say bye for now. I shall see you now in the next episode. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for the next episode on next Saturday at 5 p.m. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Khushboo. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. D.
Bye
Have a
bye.
great day. Thank you.
Bye 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 bye.